Hey everyone, welcome to our next episode of Booze and Brews.
Welcome everybody.
Cheers. All right, so last time I think we had a forgotten moment of discussing our mugs. So
I don't know if I've used this mug before. I might have, not positive, but it's actually my son's mug because I'm running out of mugs. I don't know what episode we're on, but apparently enough that I might be repeating. Anyway, so this is his Super Mario mug, which I grabbed today, which is really fun.
Oh,
so
I do love that mug. I think I might actually have that mug too because I think I actually bought it for him and then realized he had it and was like, well, maybe this is going to be his mug when he comes to my house.
Oh, and he has two of them at our house, so I don't know how many he bought.
Oh, well, no, I never gave it to him. I still have it.
Luigi. No, he has two at our house.
Oh, okay. So, well, I bought one for my house now, apparently.
All right, what's your mug?
My mug says, be the person your dog thinks you are.
I like that. That's a really good one.
Just as a reminder for people to be loyal to whoever, be kind, be lovable, all the things that your dog thinks that you are.
That's right.
And that they are to you.
Absolutely. Cool. Okay, so today we wanted to talk to you all about some services that we offer in person and remote, because I know a lot of our listenership or viewer, if you're on YouTube, extends like beyond our proximity here in Delaware. So we wanted to talk about some of these services that we offer that you can do remotely, but if you're local or you want to travel here, whatever, which people have done, and we appreciate that they could do here with us too. So
yeah.
I guess we'll start off with what we call like the basics, which is not probably basic to most people.
Yes.
But
well, it's funny because I think that some of these services kind of start to build a foundation and then things can kind of develop off of that. So the body, the mind, the spirit, it's all very fascinating. And there's a million things that we don't know on top of all the things that we do know. So we could probably talk forever on possibilities and such, but this is what we're gonna focus on today.
So some tangible services that you can purchase, right, are hypnotherapy. I think most people understand or have an idea of what hypnotherapy is. So go ahead.
No, I was when you say understand what hypnotherapy is, I think that there sometimes is a misconception of hypnotherapy
because they go back to The Office.
Yeah.
The movie The Office.
Yes. Well, then that's
Office
funny
Space.
because Office Space.
Sorry. Yeah. My bad.
Well, it's funny because a class that I just took on basically filling your empty cup, they reference that and they actually have a clip of the movie in there about
Office
how
Space.
He does not come back from the regression that he's in. But
which does not happen, by the way. Like that is a funny movie. It's a funny movie. But the idea that you're not going to come out of a hypno session or you're going to be that dramatically different. It doesn't wipe your mind. It doesn't change who you are as a person in that regard. Yes. Not like you would see in the movie. That made for great movie content.
Yeah. But I think that people sometimes almost confuse the idea of hypno with things that you see more maybe in movies or on stage or something. That,
right, but that's entertainment hypno.
Yeah, that's a different kind of thing than what we're talking about.
So we have
nothing wrong with that. And,
no,
entertainment's fine, but that's not what
what we do. Right. Yeah. So we do have a coworker who does entertainment hypnotherapy. He does more like a private professional hypnotherapy also, but yes, he does entertainment, like stage hypnotherapy. Hypnotist, I guess is how you want to put it. So, and that's also very fun, but not what we do. So you're not coming in here and clucking like a chicken or nothing like that. Like that's not what's happening.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be weird, but
unless that was your actual goal, then perhaps.
Right.
I doubt
that's not what's happening. So in a traditional hypnotherapy session that we would conduct, the reason that most people schedule hypnotherapy is because they're looking for a behavior change. They want to understand, they want to, get a handle on stress or stop smoking or lose weight or, like they're trying to make some type of connection and habit and override the subconscious block that's kind of in the way. So in a hypno session, we kind of, we bring you down. you descend. You're basically descending to an extremely relaxed state. And but the thing is that the misconception, to talk to your point, is that I think that people think they are going to be like knocked out or not remember, like they
don't have control over anything. I think they feel like the loss of control would be so absolute that it's fearful for some people.
Yeah, or that they're gonna like go some, I don't know, in some weird state or something, and that doesn't always happen. Like it's kind of like an in between sleep awake kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So you may have more, like, I'm gonna say lucid moments, and then you might drift, and then you might have more lucid moments, but you know, I don't feel like you're completely like, it's not like somebody gave you anesthesia or something. Like you're not, it's not like that deep of a state like that. So the idea is that you probably will, a lot of people do remember.
Yeah, absolutely.
Remember the session.
Yep, definitely. I think a lot of people do remember. And I think that the point of some of it is to actually remember, because you want to, if you're looking to stop smoking, for example, you want to remember enough to know, like, you don't,
the reprogramming of it.
Yeah. And that's, but the point of bringing you so deep and so down is so that we can really hit, which you might have already said, but to hit your subconscious. Because in the way, on the way to your subconscious is your ego and your logical mind and all these things that are trying to fight for understanding. And we're trying to go past that, because it's probably the reason that you're stuck on something to begin with, is because your logical mind, your ego, has kind of gotten in the way of that.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's where we're trying to tap into that part, and that's where the bringing you down. And if you do a meditation, if you're a meditator, you already probably know how to bring yourself down into a deeper meditative state. So that's the premise, is going into a deep hypnotic meditative state, bypassing the conscious, going into the subconscious. You're not unconscious, it's subconscious. Okay, so where the decision processing, whatever, lays. And then part of the hypno experience is a reprogramming, and not like they did an Office Space reprogramming. It's about reframing, you know, like smoking isn't, you know, there's a better, eating fruit is better than smoking. Exercising is better than smoking. If I feel like I want to have a cigarette, I'm going to replace that habit with calling my friend. Or, you know, so we talk about these things in advance, like how do we want to reframe these ideas? So when your subconscious says, I need a cigarette, it's going to say, oh, but I also want to take a walk. Or, you know, so we're trying to get your mind to have a different option rather than to immediately go back to that coping mechanism.
Yeah.
So that's the premise of hypno for what we do, is to, you know, you have to have a goal when you come in with it. You don't just go do a hypno session and be like, oh, whatever happens. No, it's not about whatever happens. Like, it's pre-scripted. We spend a lot of time asking you, like, what's your goal? Why do you want to do this? And then we write the script so that we can target the specific things that you're looking to do, and then helping you to reframe it in your mind into creating new habits. And people ask me, like, do I need more than one session? I mean, not usually. Sometimes it depends. Like, I don't know how to answer that. Like, I know there are some people that are like, oh, you definitely have to do it 3 times. Definitely do it 10 times. I don't know that's necessarily the case. I think that, you know, you should try it and see how it works for you. And it might not, the first take might not do it. You might want to try it again, and that's fine. But I don't want to ever hand out a, like
this is like
this is how you have to do it. Yeah. There's no how you have to do it.
And sometimes if you're not someone who's used to meditating, or you're a little bit skeptical to begin with, the first time might be tricky, because you're not allowing yourself to go. I do this sometimes, like to myself, when I'm trying to do a meditation, like I'm busy doing other things in my mind, and I'm like, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing now.
Right.
But I kind of get in my own way. So if you are someone who gets in your own way for that kind of stuff too, you might need more than one session.
Right.
But that's something that you can also talk to, you know, us about if you were doing this with us, and let us know that you might have difficulty, like kind of getting down, and we just might, you know, take more time kind of getting you to that point, or, you know, or even like just having, like, you know, like doing a different sort of service, but like talking to you in a very casual way prior to even doing the session, so that you're familiar with us. When you come in and you don't know the person at all, it's a little bit tricky to sometimes feel like, all right, I'm just gonna like
lay it all out here. Yeah.
be totally vulnerable. I'm gonna like be sort of awake-ish and, you know, have at it. Like, you know, we want you to be comfortable.
Mm-hmm. And then a different type of service, which we've done an entire session on podcast on before, is past life regression. So in past life regression, that is different than hypnotherapy. In past life regression, we are purposely visiting different points in time of past lives to see where you were, what you were doing, who you were. And there's a lot of different ways to conduct a past life regression. There's a lot of different structures in that, like, you know, I tend to visit 3 points in time.
I typically do 3 points also.
I think that 3 points is very telling, and some of them might be more clear to you than others. But also with past life regression, you can or cannot pick a theme. So I will use myself as an example, which I may have done the last time, but like one of the first times I did a past life regression, I was really wanting to find out about having children. Like I was struggling with fertility in this lifetime, and I wanted to regress to like was this a past life issue? Like, was I carrying this forward from a past life? What did my past lives look like related to this issue? So what our job is to regress you very similar to in a hypno way, but then to encourage your subconscious mind to go back and visit these past lives, which you have a record of, your cellular record still remains, and to tap into that and see like, but you are filling in the blanks. Like, we'll ask you pointed questions. What year is it? What, you know, look at your hands. Can you decide, you know, what color your skin is? Can you decide where you're living? Like
if you're male or female. You do not repeat lives or come back in lives the same as you are currently. You know, you might have been, if you're a female now, you might have been a male.
Right.
You might only be able to regress to a child because there's no adult life in that lifetime. So
exactly. Yeah. And then, you know, so asking who you're with, do you identify anyone in that lifetime that you're in a current lifetime with? You know, what part of the world are you in, the time period you're living in, like, and what are the circumstances around fertility or whatever the issue is? Like, show me that scene. And you might flashback to something that is like, oh, you know, might enlighten you as to, well, that was a traumatic incident in that lifetime that you may have been then carrying forward and impacting your but your cellular memory in this lifetime. So it's really interesting. You don't have to have a specific topic for past life though. Like, you can just be curious.
Yes.
And you could say, what's the most pertinent past life you want me to see right now? Like, what is impacting my current life from a past life? Like, what past life is am I saying that correctly? Currently impacting my life at this moment. And just be curious about it and see where it goes.
Yeah, it's interesting to do that. It's interesting to do it both ways, because sometimes we're not even aware that we've brought things from past lives into this life. So to do a general past life regression isn't bad at all.
It's fun.
You can kind of get an idea.
I was a pirate.
Like, I can see that.
I was definitely a pirate. I see that one a lot.
It's funny because I have done a couple past life regressions, but one scene that tends to stick out is just there's nothing impactful. I feel like that's happening in the moment other than the scenery, and I feel like I'm on a cobblestone street, like maybe in like old time Germany or Belgium or something like that, you know, and little, like almost like in the center of town, but cobblestone streets and just like smaller structures, like nothing crazy elaborate or whatever. There's not war going on in the background. Like,
are there vehicles?
There's not vehicles.
So this is like, you can learn like by what you see, but what you don't see also, you know, because there's no vehicles, which means it's probably pre-vehicle.
Yeah. And it's just a scene that regularly kind of just, I think about. Why, I don't know.
Yeah, like flashback to some things too.
I would have to probably, just kind of dig into that lifetime maybe a little bit more and see what is happening.
And a lot of times you can find information about yourself now that is like a haha moment of past lives. Like, maybe you're really into French decorating. And you don't really know why. You don't know why that appeals to you so much, or you really are into a certain type of Greek food or something, and you don't know where this comes from because it's not like anybody else in your family or something like that, and you can go into regression, and then you end up in that area, that part of the world, yeah. And then it's like, oh, I now know why I like Renaissance art, or whatever.
Like you lived during that period,
yes.
or maybe you were a museum curator,
right?
And
or maybe you were the famous painter yourself. Like, who knows? Maybe. But it's super cool. Yeah. So you can find out stuff like that. So now, one of the other services that we offer here is one that I've invented. I'll just say it like that. I invented it. So I feel like. And I want to caveat this by saying I think that there is, of course, lots of value in learning content and becoming certified and doing all of the foundational work that you need to do. But there's a point where the student needs to become a teacher in order to develop and continue to use these tools as they're meant to be. And I think that in that way, it gives you license to adapt to different circumstances and use these metaphysical tools to actually like make advancements. Mm-hmm. So, and when I say I made it up, I did. I mean, I truly invented the concept of this session. And I have to tell you, like, I love doing these sessions, and the people who have done them with me also find it like wildly fascinating. This is something you can also do remotely, or you can do in person. And when I say it's multidimensional, it is because basically you are allowing my intuition to guide the session on how it should go. So it can include almost anything, any of the elements or tools that I have available to me. So usually it starts somewhat as a Reiki kind of session. For me, the principles are like embedded in Reiki, but then from there, once information starts flowing back to me, I'm intuitively interpreting that. So as a medium, I'm taking that information and I'm letting it guide me onto what we need to do. Maybe we need to use certain crystals to clear things. Maybe we need to pull certain oracle decks. Maybe we need to cut some cords and do some energetic work. What else have I done in sessions like that?
Like you connected to either the spirit guides of somebody or an actual past person in their family or something to deliver a message that they have for them that's a little bit more like to the point as opposed to more a universal sort of thing.
We may need to use pendulums to do chakra clearing. If they're actually both in person and not, I've used the biocharger. I've kind of heard the message like run this kind of program. So I run that kind of program for the person. And, you're staying in very calm kind of Reiki state. A lot of people are receiving information at the same time as I'm receiving information. So then afterwards, what I do is recap like the messages that I've received, the cards I pulled, and most of them make a very significant trail connection. Like the ideas all start connecting as to why I use those candles or why those crystals were important, and really tying those concepts together. It's really, really interesting to it's like freeing almost, because you as the client don't need to make all the decisions like, oh, I definitely need to have crystals or I definitely need to have cards. Maybe or maybe not, but I've pulled passages from books before.
It's almost like,
yes.
Yeah. And by the way, the name of this service is Multidimensional Healing.
Did I say it?
I don't think you said it's multidimensional, but I don't know if people would have realized that that's actually the service you were speaking of right now. So just in case.
So if you're on our website and you're looking, that's Multidimensional Healing. And if you're remote, I take pictures and videos as I go and I show you. I might make a crystal grid while you're in a deep Reiki set. Like I'm still sending you remote Reiki, but I'm making a crystal grid in order to do a clearing for you or identify whatever issues that we're working towards. So and the messages come through that as well, the medium messages. So it's very fascinating, and it's really cool use of tools.
It is, and it's creative. It's creative in that like you're not restricted to just a thing, right, or this is what the service is for. So we're gonna do this, even though
it has to be like this.
Feel like I really want to pull this like card or whatever.
Yeah. So I might pull cards and show you, oh, this angel is helping you along this way or this path or whatever it might be. So that is definitely a very cool service to try if you're open to just, allowing metaphysical tools to kind of lead you and get answers and help you along the way without being like quite so pigeonholed, I'm going to say, into not that that's bad, but into a certain method. So, but those are they are very fun sessions, and I feel like they always end in such an upbeat kind of like, wow, that was amazing.
And I feel like the enlightenment is kind of what I feel like. It's that feeling of just wasn't expecting all this, and it's really, really cool session.
It is really, really cool.
Definitely. So the next thing I think that we could probably touch on would be a combination of regression and hypno. So this is not a past life regression. This is going to be regression into your current lifetime. Because sometimes things have happened and maybe they were traumatic and we've blocked that kind of information. We don't recall it, we don't remember it. So we have to maybe regress and kind of get you back to that moment of time or that period, and to be able to uncover things that may be affecting you currently, as in like literally like in this moment, as opposed to like another lifetime and how you've maybe brought it forward. And then we would do a hypnotherapy session to help release those blocks that you might have regarding that particular issue.
Yeah, so it all happens in one session, and it's really fascinating. And I'll explain it with a real life example. When I did this work with a client, she really wanted to know how to attract a good partner into her life. Like she told me, like, I feel like I just keep making the same mistakes, and I keep stumbling over the same pattern. And why? Like, what? I mean, she was a really smart woman, and like, how does this keep happening? Like, how does she keep falling into these same patterns with guys? So she wanted to do the regression in her current lifetime because she couldn't remember. She didn't know. She truly didn't know where this started. Where did this belief system begin? And that has now manifested into her creating this pattern. And then, of course, she said, but I want to break the pattern. I want to break the cycle. Like, I don't want to keep doing this. Like, bringing acknowledgement to when it happened for her was important, but for taking that next step and saying, like, well, help me break this cycle. How do I actually attract what I want? Now I want to note that through these sessions and through the script that we provide, sometimes you've regressed memories because your mind doesn't want to remember them, and that is okay. And it is built into the script to say that this is a very safe space. And that if your mind does not choose to see it, that it is fine. We're not trying to force it out. If it naturally comes through the regression, it's fine. It might come as a memory, as pictures, as emotion, but we're not trying to dig it out in an uncomfortable way. Like, that's not the intention here. It's to provide a very safe experience and allow your subconscious to reveal it if it's meant to be revealed to you. So what was very interesting was that when we did this regression with this particular client, she actually regressed to a memory that she had, and she was sitting on the bed with her mom and her siblings, and I can't remember exactly how this scene unfolded, but it was a pivotal moment in her life. But she was very young, like she was 4 or 5 years old, and she remembers whatever the exchange was, but it was in those young formative years, she made some belief system in her mind that said, I don't trust relationships. Whatever it was, because of the situation that her family was in. And it was very much tied to her mom. And she came out, I didn't know this until the end. So we did the regression. She wasn't verbal, but she had retained it in her memory. Then we worked on the hypno part of like, what we call is like turning down the volume, turning down the din of how it was and replacing it with like a new radio station. And when we were finished and she said, I would have never known that my belief system was tied to my mom. She's like, I always just assumed it was tied to, the first boyfriend or like this weird experience over here or whatever. And she's like, I see it in a whole different light now. Like it's amazing. Like I can forgive that. I can let that go. And now I can move on with my life. Like it had nothing to do with my choices, like of partnership. It was all embedded in something else. And that happens where we you know, if you have a child, and you might see this where they start creating belief systems around whatever they think, and you're like, well, it's very interesting, and it might not directly correlate, right?
Yeah, you might be like, where is this coming from?
Where did that happen?
I didn't tell you to whatever, you know, or so. But you know, people are exposed to lots and lots of things, especially now. I mean, now we're so overexposed to things, like, so it's not surprising that we would have absorbed something that would either be from family, from school, from the playground, from like, I mean, anywhere, from work.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, it's just, it doesn't have to be happening in your like early years or anything. This could be literally something, you could be 45 and this could have happened at age 42 and you just don't really recall.
I mean, you could get into a car accident at 45 and say, I'm never driving again. Like, that's now your belief system that you're not a good driver. So, I mean, that might not be the case, but you've decided that. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I mean, I had this whole conversation last night, not in aggression, obviously, but with my own kid, where something wasn't going well. And you know, and I asked him to, you know, please go clean, whatever it was, normal kid type of situation. And I said, and he wanted ice cream. And I said, well, before you get the ice cream, I'd like you to do X, Y, Z. And then out of his mouth comes, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve ice cream. I was like, whoa, pause. Like, where did your brain decide that this task is related to you deserving something else? Because that isn't an intentional connection that I was trying to make. I just really wanted you to get your room cleaned up before you ate the ice cream. You know, I wasn't trying to say like you're not a good person and don't deserve ice cream because your room is a mess. Like, so this is where belief systems start, and they start to like twist up in your head. And if you can catch them early and try to reframe it, you know, I don't want food tied to how worthy you think you are. Like, that's, as a parent, like, I don't want that. Like, I don't want you to walk away thinking that. But this happens. And for that instance, I feel like I was able to see it. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times these decisions get made in our heads and we don't know where they came from. Yeah. You know, like, why did this happen all of a sudden? So anyway, it's very interesting when you do a regression like this in a current lifetime. I mean, we were just talking about this before we started. Like, you could technically probably regress to a past lifetime and then do hypno on it. I haven't quite done it like that. Is it possible? Probably, but I haven't done it like that.
I mean, but this is sometimes the value of having these kind of sessions, is that if there's a theme in your past life, we'll use your example from before about like with having children, and you have regressed and you have information now from 3 lives of children,
yeah,
you know, like
being unable to have them.
Maybe you had them. Maybe your child passed away very young, or whatever the situations are. You now have some information, and you might have carried that into your current life and have now made some sort of decision based on past memories that you don't know that you've even made that decision of.
Right.
But being able to put these things together and then being able to come out with like, okay, we're going to use a hypnotherapy session as a way to release the past blocks about that or feelings about that and decide
something new.
Yeah.
Just decide something new.
It
yep.
Into the current life.
Yeah. It's really interesting work. It's very, very interesting work, and it's fascinating to me, and I love working with people, and when they come out of it and they're just like, oh my gosh, I got so much clarity. So it's really helpful. And then the last service that we're going to touch on today is something I've also kind of like invented. And I laugh when I say invented.
Very busy.
Well, and I feel like for me as an intuitive, I say I have invented it. No, that's not necessarily true. I feel like it was given to me. I feel like this information is downloaded to me. I feel like the ideas come from somewhere else, and I am the conduit that then presents it. And I'm like, hey, this is a really cool idea. Did I come up with the idea? Well, theoretically, yes. But a lot of times I feel like I was given the idea by another source and asked to bring it forward. So that's very much what happened with the creation of this service called Emotional Trauma Healing. Again, something you can do remote or in person. And this is where you have a specific trauma. Maybe it's of abuse or something like that. And it's almost like you're blocked. You can't let it go. Like, you just, why? Like, why does it keep hanging here? Why does it keep bringing me down? What are we doing about it? And this is a type of session where I also start in like a Reiki kind of state, and then I dig deeper. So we start this session by discussing the actual trauma, like what are we talking about? And then what we do is we work on calming the nervous system through Reiki and getting you into a calmer state so we can start to identify where it actually, I'm going to use the words like lives in the body, because your body stores trauma on a cellular level. So it might be stored as pain. It might be stored in a chakra. It might be stored somewhere
in weight,
like it's stored somewhere.
Yeah, there's like, we can go on and on with examples.
So what I do in that session is, with the intention of this particular trauma in mind, I go through and I start testing the chakras and parts of the body with a pendulum. And it is fascinating because it will 100% tell me, based on, and I set the intention based on finding information on this particular trauma. Please show me, is it in this area? And if the spin is correct, no, it's not in that area. But when I hit the area, the pendulum stops, or it goes backwards, or it's completely wonky. And then what I do is I work on restoring a positive energy system in that area and releasing on a cellular level the trauma that's occurred there. This is also a nice service that's paired with the biocharger too, because if we can identify the type of trauma, we can start trying to regulate it that way. So this is where, like, you're just like, I don't know where this lives. Like, why is this in me? Why is this living in me? If you have chronic pain, in a shoulder, we could do it kind of almost in a reverse way, with where we're using the pendulum to release the energy of that area and then do a regression to figure out, like, where did that pain come from?
Yeah. If you've had a specific injury that resulted in that, like, then, maybe it's not something emotional, but it's a lot of times unidentified. Why is this?
Why is my elbow hurt? Yeah. So the rule of thumb with pain is that an acute injury causes pain. Like, you fall down and break something, that is an acute injury. You understand that your femur hurts because you fell. But when there's chronic pain, a lot of times it is emotionally stored pain. And it is continuing to show up for you. Hey, this is nagging me. Hey, this is nagging me. And you have to do a little work to figure out, why is that emotionally stored there, and how do I let that go? Because it doesn't need to live there.
Yeah. Letting it go is so important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is one of those services that allows you to, kind of try to say, I know I have a block here. I know I have pain here. How do I really try to move it out? So in a Reiki session, like, I'm, as the practitioner, we're providing the Reiki, but you're also providing the mental state of the healing. So you are helping to heal yourself. And that's the whole point of all of the services that we have, is that you have to do part of it. You have to participate in part of it. You have to make the connection in your mind, like, oh, I want to make this change. I want to try this new programming. Because we've talked to you and told it with you on, like, what you actually want. Yeah. So it's magic, yes, but it's also self-healing. So we facilitate you being able to put the pieces together to, get the healing on track.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just being able to reach out for help, knowing that it's not something that you might be able to accomplish on your own. And that's okay. Most things,
sometimes you just don't know. Like, you just, I like to do services like this because it's sometimes, like, harder to work on yourself. You kind of need someone to guide you through it yourself. So, it's really nice to have that guidance at times and just to walk you through the steps so you can take yourself through it and be like, oh, okay.
When you're doing it yourself too, I feel like it's much harder to hit that subconscious feeling, and your ego and your logical mind are for sure leading that, because there needs to be some sort of
right. It's just like exercise. Like, you can motivate yourself to go to the gym, but sometimes if you're going to a class, it's easier. You don't have to think about it. You just show up,
you
right?
Do what they're telling you to do.
But at least you knew that you were going to an abs class, and that's what you wanted to work on, right? So anyway, we hope that helps you. If you're interested or have questions about any of these types of services, reach out. Like, we're very excited about them. We're excited to offer them. This gets me jazzed up, like, these kind of things. Yeah. So Yeah, and it's out of the box, and it's not always so like, oh, I only do massage or I only do Reiki. Those are awesome, great services, but they're the beginning.
Yeah.
They're the beginning of this journey.
Yeah,
So.
there's so many more things that ways to heal and things to do and things to investigate. But yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah. Sure. All right. Well, until next time. Enjoy.
Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Cheers.
Taking my Mario and jumping on some mushrooms. I don't know. All right.
Racing
Have a
outta
good day.